Hi, I'm Noor, and in this video, I'm going to take you on a ride with me to explore the PPKs I wrote for this class, and how the theory I studied connected in one way or another to the experiences I've had up until this point. Before we dive deeper into my history, I'll give you a quick background in the theory I studied, which is experiential education. To learn this theory, I read the book Experience in Education by John Dewey and watched a few videos by great educators who walked down this path of making their classroom experience more engaging and meaningful for their students. John Dewey shed light on the need of a modern educational pedagogy different from the two extremes that were established up until that point, the traditional and the progressive. He realized that the traditional system was outdated in its structure, and that the progressive system, which promoted freedom, was fundamentally flawed in its organization. He then introduced a theory that combined the benefits of each of the traditional and the progressive approaches and called it the theory of experience. This resulted in a path that was carefully designed to cater to students' needs and prepare them for the individual and equivocal future they were going to be a part of. Through my understanding of the theory, I extracted 5 main tenets that I'm going to map onto my experiences. These tenets include experiential continuum, reflection and purpose, knowledge as a mean, freedom in education, and the role of the educator. In my PPKs, I reflected mainly on my undergraduate journey to obtain my bachelor's in chemical engineering, as well as my teaching practices, which were inspired by my own personal experiences. To give you a quick recap, I had attended the University of Waterloo for 5 years to obtain a degree in chemical engineering. My choice coming out of high school was purely based on the fact that I enjoyed chemistry. However, my co-op experiences taught me that it's not really what I wanted to do. Although I had enjoyed the critical thinking and problem-solving aspect of my courses, I didn't feel that the nature of the jobs in that field were meaningful or fulfilling to me. Despite my continuous effort to engage with what I was learning, many hurdles stood in the way of allowing me to enjoy the journey and make the most out of it. After I graduated from university, I spent about 8 months applying to jobs in the chemical engineering field with no luck at all. Fortunately, my co-op experiences had allowed me to gain exposure into the educational field as I got to work as a TA for the Waterloo Professional Development Program for 2 terms. In July 2018, my supervisor, whom I was still working for part-time, brought to my attention an opening in the department, which was for a 4 months contract. I applied to the position and got the job, and from there, all the rest was history. I enjoyed my experience working in the field of education and supporting students so much that I started seriously considering switching career paths. At the time, I was working full-time at WAPD, and I was also teaching part-time on Saturdays and Sundays. It wasn't an easy choice to make, and there were a series of opportunities and signs that came my way which steered me in the direction of switching paths eventually. And from there, I decided to apply for a master's in education in order to gain the theoretical knowledge that would enable me to gain credibility in this field and build on my experience. Now, as you may see, my journey so far has been a bumpy ride. It required a lot of hard work and perseverance to reach where I am today. I had many days when I was lost and confused, and others when I doubted myself and my abilities. Adding to that, the social expectations of my surrounding community did not make it any easier. This inspired my teaching practice, which I view as riding a bike. As you can see, a bicycle has 2 wheels on it. Each of the wheels represents the roles of both the educator and the student on that ride. The back wheel provides the push and allows the bike to move, just like the role of the teacher. She provides the guidance and mentorship that stimulate the student's growth and allow them to make appropriate choices for their future. On the other hand, the front wheel represents the student, as they are the ones who are responsible for their own choices and steer the bike in the direction that they want. I find education as a two-way street. It's an effort required by both the educator and the student to achieve positive learning outcomes. Without the teacher, the student might not know how to utilize the tools and knowledge they have. Nonetheless, the student needs to be invested and engaged in order to make the right choices for themselves, that is, steer the bike in the right direction. In addition, the wheels on the bike having a circular shape represent the reflective learning cycles that both the student and the teacher go through. The student would be going through the experience, observing their progress, assessing their strengths and weaknesses, reflecting on their experience, and finally, planning to do better moving forward based on the learning they gain through this process. Likewise, the teacher would be offering the medium for the student to learn, observing the student's progress and performance, reflecting on the student's work and understanding their abilities, and lastly, planning and structuring their teaching in a way that would be best fit for the student to enable their growth. As you can see, many of the tenets that I described earlier in the theory of experience are present in my personal experience so far. Experiential continuum is present in the continuous experience I had, one after another, which led me to where I am today. Dewey describes the educative experiences as the ones that enable the student to continue to want to have further experiences in the future. As students, we are continuously engaging in structured as well as unstructured experiences from which we continue to grow and develop in different areas, academically, professionally, and personally. Reflection and purpose were present in each pause I took along the way to consciously think about the experiences I'm going through and plan for future ones. Given these moments of reflection were not structured for me, I had full control over when I chose to pause and think critically about the path I'm taking and plan moving forward. Knowledge as a mean is reflected in all of the courses I've studied throughout my undergraduate career. They weren't the end that I was aiming for, but they were a mean and a tool through which I acquired a depth of information, as well as skills such as problem solving, analytical abilities, and critical thinking. Even though I'm not directly working in the field I studied, I still do carry with me a lot of the knowledge and skills I earned along the way, in the work I do, and the support I provide to students I teach and mentor. Freedom in education enabled me to freely select what I wanted to do in my co-op experiences when I was a student. I am very grateful that I had the opportunity to explore a combination of experiences related to my field, as well as ones different from it. Each experience allowed me to learn more about what I liked and disliked, and drew me closer to what I wanted to do for the long run. Lastly, role of the educator allowed me to learn from my own experience interacting with teachers and professors who taught me and shaped my teaching practice and how I approached teaching and mentorship when I worked with students I taught and supervised. The main takeaway from my experience mapping the educational theory I studied onto my own personal experience in teaching practice is that each one of us in this class had in some way experienced and unconsciously applied some kind of scientific method in our teaching without knowing or studying the actual theory behind it. Before this class, I never read about experience in education as a theory or a scientific method. I didn't even hear about John Dewey. However, I had experienced and applied his approach in my classroom learning simply through the experiences and knowledge I acquired organically through the years. From reading the book Experience in Education, I learned that there isn't a right answer to how things should be done. In his book, John Dewey didn't specify the right way of doing things. Instead, he outlined several criteria for effective and impactful education, and he left it up to the educator to plan their activities and structure their curriculum on their own. This class also allowed me to have more confidence in my abilities to teach and mentor students that I work with. It showed me that even though I didn't obtain a degree in education, I'm not far off from where I'm supposed to be in my role. It allowed me to critically examine my approach with students and purposefully reflect on how I teach and support students in different contexts and different levels. Lastly, it allowed me to trust the choices I made so far and be more confident in the difficult choice I made to switch careers. I picked this modality to present my project because of different reasons. As a student interested in online learning and the wealth of tools available with technology to deliver education, I'm always intrigued to try new softwares and build on my technical skills using them. This project was the perfect opportunity for me to push myself to try a new approach to delivering presentations. In addition, I find videos with clip art and audio more fun and engaging, so I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and learning more about my project. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Bye now!